I grew up right outside of New York and then lived in the city for pretty much like all of my 20s. So I was like very accustomed to the rat race, kind of like the grind of that type of life. I was grinding and I was working hard and hustling to just work to make enough money, to go back to school, to live my life, to eventually kind of build more of a career for myself. And after about like 10 years or so, I just kind of looked around and was like, I'm tired. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I would look around and I would see everybody else kind of doing the same thing and kind of feeling the same way. But it wasn't just that like everybody was working really hard. It was like everybody was also wearing it as a badge of honor. And it just kind of made me think about like what's one of my favorite quotes now, which is, stop the glorification of busy. Like, just stop it. But that's what we were doing. And so I eventually got to a place where I was like, I think it's time for a change. And so at 30 years old, I decided to move to LA, where I thought I'd be able to have a slower pace of life and kind of chill a little bit more. And in a lot of ways I did, but old habits die hard. And so I found myself creating new work and having new projects, which was great, and like making videos and doing this type of stuff, which I love. But I also found that any time in between lulls of me having some of my project where I wasn't doing some of these things, I would start to feel guilty. And then I would also start to think like, am I being lazy? And eventually I was just like, what the fuck? What am I doing? Like, how hard do I have to work before I finally give myself permission to just relax? And that's what toxic hustle culture does to us, and that's how it leaves us feeling. Working hard and hustling, like at a baseline, is really necessary for those of us who have to and when we really have to make ends meet. Even beyond necessity though, working hard and hustling can still be a really good thing because it helps move us closer towards the goals and kind of aspirations and things that we want to achieve. So it can be a good thing. But toxic hustle culture is this kind of bullshit societal belief that's been kind of like fed to us that says that how much work we do, kind of like our productivity, is what defines our value. And that's bullshit. Our value is innate. It is a birthright. We do not have to hustle and work hard to try and prove that we are worthy of love and belonging. Like, we automatically deserve that. But it's easy for us to believe that, when we just kind of buy into that and we just like hop on that ride without being aware of it, and then we're working from a place of fear instead of more from a place of passion, then it only helps to kind of reinforce that negative and irrational belief that's been forced on us, that we're not enough. And especially for those of us who've kind of grown up believing that there's just something inherently not good enough about who we are, like being gay or queer, then it's easy for that shit to cut deeper for us and create even more shame and this kind of like feeling that we have to overshoot that much more to try to make up for the difference of what we feel like is lacking within us, when that was never true at all. All right, so what can we do? The first thing is listen to your body. You have to make sure we're paying attention to what's going on here, because when we're feeling exhausted and fatigued, whether it's physical or emotional, all of it's valid, all of it matters, and all of it deserves our attention so we can take care of ourselves just on that level. After that, let's check in on our thinking. Like, what are the stories that we're telling ourselves? Is it that I'm only good enough as long as I've worked enough? Because if that's the case, let's rewrite that script. It should sound something a little bit more like, I am not my productivity, I'm not lazy, and I deserve rest when I need it. After that, we want to make sure that we're checking in and kind of showing up at a baseline for those responsibilities, but also reminding ourselves that baseline is more than enough, especially when that's all that we have to give, and then we can just let ourselves relax. We need to rest and recharge. That is a good thing, and especially after these last couple of years, it's something that we absolutely all deserve.